When Steve Gadd came on the scene, it was more accepted because everybody wanted Steve Gadd, sound and the way he played, because the guy was very tasteful. And by the time he came on the scene, people started understanding, what made him so magical was because it's the way he placed the snare drum, which is behind the beat, right? And some people always ask, well, how do you play behind the beat? It's very easy. If you think of if you have a click going on, for instance, if I'm gonna play this. That's on the beat, right? With the left hand. But if I put that left hand behind the beat.
Yeah.
Now the whole groove sounds a little bit more elastic. And what I mean by elastic, it sounds a little looser. But the time is still there. It's still implied. Now you're talking to a butthole like myself who challenge people because they go like, for instance, like when I worked with George Clinton, he says, drummer, put it in the pocket, put it behind the beat. So now I'm going like, well, you're talking to a guy who mastered behind the beat because I learned very early by listening to a group called the Delphonics. And Delphonics, the drummer is Tiki Forward. Where the snare drum was always behind the beat. I mean, you can listen to any of those records, like Betchy Bagaliwal, what's the... I can't think of the titles now. Where, Now, the snare drum is almost a flam to the beat, to the hi-hat.
Yeah.
So for me, since I mastered all of this crap and understood it very well, so now they're like, man, that sure felt good, So then they hire you to come back. They don't understand what happened. So I'm sitting there in my living room and the phone is ringing. Oh, yeah, the phone. Yeah, sure, I can make the date. Leave the studio, a few $100s richer. But that is because, again, I didn't learn, I didn't have nobody teach me how to do those things. I basically learned how to do those things by listening to records and understand that, what felt good and what didn't feel good.
Yeah.
And basically, try to be myself or build a vocabulary of what Dennis Chambers would do. For instance, like, how many of you guys know a song called Chameleon? Yeah, that's a perfect example, right? So the groove. Now in the 70s, that was a killing groove, right? By today's standards, nothing. But what I got out of it was like, okay, once I figured out how that worked and the reason why that worked, like, well, what would I do to that? Here's what I did. Of course, if I had played on the recording, I probably would have been fired. But nevertheless, that's what I felt and that's what I heard, and that was more important to me. And it's funny at this day and age, when I'd say, like, man, all you got to do is just be yourself. When you play your instrument, they go like, that's hard to do. No, it's not hard to do. If you when you wake up and your feet hit the floor, how do you feel? Are you in contact with yourself? Do you hear yourself? Do you listen to what your body is saying to you? Or when you stand up out of the bed for the first time of the day, what do you feel? Same thing when you sit down behind a drum kit, or when you pick up a bass, or when you play a keyboard. How do you feel? What are you hearing? What do you when you hit that instrument for the first time? What do you feel? For me, it's like I feel the vibration of the stick hitting the cymbal or the drum head, which caused me to react in different ways. Right? I mean, so when I play something like this. But if I play it, that feels different to me. And it all depends on where I am in the track, or if I feel like I'm going to do certain things. I'll try leading with the right side because I'm right-handed, but I learned how to play leading with the left too. So the left is definitely a different feel from the right. Like. But that's